What's up everyone, John from ARTV. Sorry for the weird angle, it's because my tripod just broke literally like 5 minutes ago before recording this review. I was setting up my camera and everything just kind of collapsed and broke off, and now we're left with the missing and broken pieces. Anyways, I'll try and get my hands on a new tripod as soon as possible, but for now, bear with me and let's talk about the Welsh metal band Bullet For My Valentine and their album Venom. This time around they're kind of back to their thrash metal tendencies, definitely unleashing that on some of their tracks like You Want a Battle, Here's a War, which was released as one of the singles, and kind of pushing away from those radio rock moments that were all over 2013's abysmal Temper. An album that just got worse with time in my eyes. I was listening through this record and I was actually kind of impressed just because I'm hearing a lot more thrash metal, some of those fast riffs, just the metal attitude in general, and I think that they had kind of gotten away with that. They've had a couple of albums in their discography that were just kind of like wayward sons wandering out to sea, and I feel like Screaming Fire in 2008 was one of those, along with 2013's Temper. The first half of this record is definitely a lot stronger than the back half, presenting us with a lot of good songs to really open up with. No Way Out flows out of that intro track V really well, and just a harsh scream opens that thing up. Some fierce drumming, and of course some great guitar work all over this thing. Loving the screams that I'm hearing on that track, and the track You Want a Battle, Here's a War. That one just kind of opens up out of this children's choir type thing, which I know I've criticized in the past for bands doing that, trying to make things sound epic, but I think that they did it. They utilized the gang vocal aspect in a good way here. It's one of those tracks that almost kind of calls for it. It's not the first thing that I noticed about this track though. The drumming would have to be the first thing that really stood out to me here, and of course that's during the chorus. Whenever it really kicks in, the drummer is just all over the place. I think Moose, without him behind the kit on that track, I don't know if the chorus would have stuck with me as much as it is now. Gotta throw some praise their way just for putting together such a strong instrumental that it kinda almost distracts you from the vocals and the lyrics that aren't exactly up to par with some of their past stuff, especially the lyrical content here on this thing. But the drumming and the guitar work here, everything comes together just to make this song that is definitely more radio rock friendly, I suppose, but at the same time it still feels like it's them being true to themselves. Army of Noise is another track that I'm really loving the more I get into this record and the more I keep playing it. It's got this really awesome guitar solo on it, and I think the lyrics on it are even better than a lot of Bullet For My Valentine songs are. A lot of them kind of fall into this rut of like playing this kind of victim type, or somebody has betrayed them, and of course there was a whole song dedicated to your betrayal on their 2010 album that I'm wearing the shirt for, Fever. But that's in the past. Of course, here on Army of Noise we get a really solid track. I like what they're doing with the guitar here, and whatever they did after the first verse on this song, please do more of that. That fast-paced riff and everything that was going on there sounds phenomenal. Unfortunately, to reiterate, some of these tracks do kind of feel a little bit stale, and I guess in some sort of safe zone, like they don't want to push any buttons, so they're just going to keep pumping out more of the same styled songs about the same lyrical subjects. The title track is unfortunately falling prey to this, really trying to present itself as something dark and a little bit more edgy, and I don't think that it succeeds in doing so. However, it ends up sounding like a mix of their own song Tears Don't Fall crossed over with Framing Hanley's 2009 track Hear Me Now, which was actually one of my favorite songs of 2009. I think it's just the way the guitar starts off on that track and kind of runs all throughout. That's why I'm drawing comparisons there, but I just don't think that it's that strong of a song. It's one of those ones that just feels like a mashup of something else and not original, and that's a problem that I have with a lot of this new Bullet record. The Harder the Heart is probably my least favorite on this entire album, just because it feels like it's something that just got crapped out in the studio. The lyrics were just thrown on there, and the guitars and the drums, everything about it just feel lifeless. I'm unfortunately not really too big on the closer Pyriah either, because it just feels like it sails out into nothing and it's like an abrupt ending. The movie credits roll early and you just kind of leave the theater walking out saying, well, that was kind of an abrupt ending. It's not bad, it's a good rocker, I suppose, and it's kind of right in the middle territory in terms of Bullet songs that I really enjoy and ones that I tend to skip over. Unfortunately, the track Broken kind of falls into similar territory for me as well. I really do like the screams from Matthew Tuck here on this track, but I think that he just tries to sell himself as way too dramatic. He's over the top on this track, although I do really like the guitar and drum combo. There's an instrumental that I can really sink my teeth into and start to love here on this thing even. I dare say it's one of the better ones on this record, but the problem is that the song just kind of gets bogged down in this middle of the road muddled mess, and I think if I tune out the lyrics, I enjoy this song a whole lot more. You can pick off the weak links for yourself, the ones surrounding it, but towards the end of this record there's one song that I have to praise, and it's called Hell or High Water. Just some galloping guitar riffs here on this thing that make this a monster of a tune. Definitely one of my favorites and one of the more creative in terms of its entire instrumental. The bass work is some of the best that I heard on all of Venom. The album really had me up until its midpoint, right around Broken or so. I was really enjoying it, especially my first listen. I was really impressed, and I was like, alright, Bullet For My Valentine, back on track. One of my favorite teenage bands that actually isn't sucking this time around. And not that they really dropped the ball as a whole, it's just that I feel like they really didn't do this album justice in its latter half. Overall, for me, there are some really good tracks on here, some ones I'm definitely coming back to. I don't listen to a ton of metal and that sort of thing, so forgive me if I'm kind of in the dark with some of the other releases that have come out this year, but I did want to talk about this one. For me personally, this is a step up, showing signs of improvement from Bullet For My Valentine. I'm giving it a 3.5. So if you heard Venom, let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. While you're there, maybe smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. Thanks for watching. You can click here or here to go to my second channel or the last review that I did. And other than that, I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.